I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside.
And oh, how beautiful they are indeed. Bright blessings beaming with potential. And our leaders are taking note. This fiscal year, government plans to focus heavily on human capital development, with keen emphasis on education. The administration is also focusing on improved security and safety for all. It's part of a broader strategy to grow the economy and improve the lives of our people, including our children.
I'm proud of the country itself, because tourists come here, tourists enjoy our environment, they love it. They love what we're doing.
I'm proud of our culture, we are creative, and we aim for the highest.
I'm most proud of that in sports, with Usain Bolt doing all those things, I'm proud of my country, that's one. And, our beauty of our country, I absolutely love that.
It's a positive environment, and we young people can learn from it, because I'm in 8th grade, so I'm coming up. And we can see all the positives and both negatives, and how we can change a negative into a positive.
And in doing so, the country will begin to move closer to achieving its Vision 2030 National Development Goals. This Child Month, we're continuing that mission, dealing with the issues, exploring the possibilities, listening to our future leaders.
And that dialogue continues on Jamaica Magazine today. Hello and welcome to a special Child Month edition of Issues and Answers. I'm your host, Faye Ellington. Thanks for joining us. Now, we are expecting a very lively discussion in studio today as a group of young people get a rare opportunity to speak directly with some of our leaders. With us in studio is the Minister of National Security, the Honourable Peter Bunting. We also say welcome to the Chief Executive Officer of the Child Development Agency, Mrs. Carla Francis Eady, and the Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Mrs. Grace McLean. A very warm welcome to everybody. And we want to thank our students who are in the audience and who will be participating. And the students are from grade 3 through to the tertiary level. And they've come from schools in St. Andrews, St. Catherine, St. James, and St. Thomas. As you heard in that short feature, the government remains on a mission to move the country forward. In the next half hour, we are going to hear some of the issues our children and young people have been thinking about and get some answers from our panelists. So, let's start with the whole matter of security. This is Child Month, and this month the focus is on the care and protection of our children and the collective responsibility we have to keep them safe and secure. Our first question comes from a student from Mount Alvernia Prep School in St. James. That's Tony Ann Williams, the 2012 winner of the JIS Heritage Essay Competition. So, Tony Ann, let's hear your question.
Hello, Minister Bunting. I was wondering, what plans is the government planning to put in place to make schools safer?
Okay, I will speak primarily from the Ministry of National Security, but I also know the Minister of Education has a comprehensive plan that's being developed, and one of our other guests can speak to that. We have assigned a number of policemen, primarily from our community relations branch, to be school resource officers. They go into schools, they talk to students, they get them familiar with the police and comfortable and understand what is expected of them as young citizens coming up. We also assign patrols to routes that students use and transport centers, and now increasingly even on the buses. So they may not be overt, sometimes they're plainclothes or what you'd call covert. We're very sensitive to student safety, and we are deploying our police resources to maximize that. The final thing I would say is that we're also expanding our CCTV coverage, that's closed circuit television coverage. So even where we're not able to have a physical presence of police personnel, we'll have cameras surveying, monitoring a lot of the routes, the transport centers, the taxi stands, etc., where kids have to congregate, and if anything happens, then we can send a response team quickly to ensure the safety and security of our children.
That's excellent news. Mrs. Grace McLean, I think there's a part of that question that you might want to address.
Yes, thank you very much, Tonian, for that question. Just to say that the Ministry of Education has developed a comprehensive program in response to the challenges that we have been having re safety and security. Of course, before we intensified this response, there were some fundamentals within the school system. For example, over 800 guidance counselors within our schools, deans of discipline, over 200 school resource officers, as Minister Bunting mentioned. And we try to ensure that at least while the students are on their way to school, while they're at school, and while they're on their way home, they are protected. We have realized, however, that there are so many issues that our students are being faced with now, so we have to embark on more preventative approaches as against just reacting as the need may arise. And so we have decided that we will intensify the support as it relates to peer support, students supporting themselves. We have a regional response team, and these are guidance counselors, deans of discipline, school resource officers, other persons from the police corps who have come together to do talks and sessions in school to ensure that we can get in our young people's minds to see what is happening. Just to say also, we have embarked on intensive training in preliminary basic investigative techniques where our deans and counselors are so equipped so we can see where the signs are, so we can respond to the needs of those children. I will say though, we have to focus on getting our parents to play their part in ensuring that our children are prepared for school, and the challenges, social challenges and threats and bullying and so on are also being supported outside of the school system.
Thank you very much. Who is asking our second question?
My name is Justin Brooks, and I'm from Kingston College. Could more financial assistance be given out to offset the cost of education as pertaining to auxiliary fee, books, and uniforms?
Mrs. McLean, that's you again.
Yes, well, let me first say that the social safety net and the response, which is the PATH program, tries as best as possible to provide support for those who are neediest within the society. Our principal philosophy at the Ministry of Education, however, is that children should not be deprived of an education, and children should be supported as best as possible at school. And so many of our schools have put in place a student welfare program where once students are experiencing challenges who may not be on the PATH program because circumstances do change for families, they can go to their guidance counselors, speak to their teachers, and we try to provide support. Once that is brought to our attention, we try to look among the resources that we have within the ministry, and we respond to schools accordingly. I will say, however, that in a time of economic constraints, we all have to come together with creative strategies to assist each other. And so, again, sometimes we find that our students are not willing to say what their situation is. And from time to time, you have some who are at school who are very hungry and are not responding to the teachers, and some who are going through other challenges. So I want to say to you, just trust the administrators at these institutions that you're from. We also have our regional offices in each of our regions, which of course, if you feel that your needs are not being met, or if you feel that you want to articulate this a little further, then that is where your first point can be, so that we can look at your situation and try to provide some support.
Thank you very much. Very important issues coming out. We're going to be taking a break, and when we come back, we'll have more questions from the students here for this very important program.
Me at 15, me not run down no baby daddy, me a stay in a school, be married, get my education, so young girls, if you no mess up, get up, brush off, and remember, nourish, nourish.
Jamaica Magazine, and we're continuing a special JIS Child Month edition of Issues and Answers, giving some of our bright young people a rare opportunity to talk about the issues that are of real concern to them and to get answers from some of our leaders. And let's ask, who has the next question for a member of the panel? Young man at the front.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ranaka Gentles, and I attend the Hydel Preparatory School. Today, the question that I'm going to pose is to Miss Edie. Why are there so many children on the streets and not in a home or with a family?
There are a number of reasons. I'll name you a few. One, there are those children whose parents are poor and they feel that the child should contribute to the finances of the family. So the children are sent on the streets to work. There are those children who are being abused at home and there's no one that they can talk to, so they choose to go on the streets. Let me point out very quickly, though, that there are children who live on the streets and there are children who work on the streets. So they work, but they have a home to go back to, while there are those children who live and work on the streets.
That's such an important question. We need about 2 hours to go down that road. But thank you for that very important question, young man, and for your concern in this area. Who has our next question? Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Javon Minto. I'm a student at Northern Caribbean University. My question is proposed to Minister Bunting. What current strategies are in place and will be implemented to prevent the kidnapping of children?
Okay, thank you, and I have to acknowledge one of my home constituency students. Fortunately, kidnapping is not a big issue in Jamaica, even relative to other countries in the Caribbean or Central America in the region. So I want to start off by saying it's not a big problem. Nevertheless, it's important for us to educate our children about how they can behave to minimize the risk. You know, things like not getting into vehicles with strangers, traveling in groups rather than individually. The fact that schools, institutions such as NCU, high schools, other private providers put up as much cameras as possible. Anybody who is thinking of doing something like that would not want to operate in an area where cameras could record it. And in the unlikely event that a kidnapping does take place, we have a special unit within the police force that has an excellent track record in terms of responding and resolving these successfully.
Thank you. And remember, don't use your phone on the road, and so your attention is on the phone and the conversation, and then somebody could just snatch you. Be careful. You know, we also ask social media to get involved, and there's a question here, and it's from an L. Grandison who tweeted this question. Can anger management, parenting entrepreneurship be aggressively added to the school curriculum? Is there any scope for this, Mrs. McLean?
Yes, definitely, Faye. There is actually a conflict management, anger management program that was developed some years ago, and this was implemented in our schools. We are now looking back at this program to see how we can provide some individual sessions for groups of students, and there are many non-governmental organizations that are coming on board to provide support in that regard, because we have found that our students are just not able to treat with conflicts and to deal with the emotional trauma if they are affected or troubled, as we usually say, by another student.
Some of us adults can't deal with it
Yes.
either. Could I have another question? Is there some? Yes, could you stand?
Good day.
Good day.
My name is Ivan Godfrey, and I'm representing the University of Technology Student Union. The question that a block of tertiary students have asked me to pose to Mrs. McLean is, why is tertiary education so expensive?
Why is tertiary education so expensive? Well, education on a whole is very expensive, and that is why we have to make use of the opportunity. The truth is the government currently spends over $78 billion for the complete education sector. At the tertiary sector, the tuition fees are subsidized up to the amount of 80%. Of course, there are numerous operational costs that the universities must ensure that they are able to cover. And of course, these are dependent on the kind of courses as well. And so what we have found is that the universities have to ensure that they develop a budget which will ensure that they can have enough money to adequately support you and to provide the kind of resources so that you can get the best quality education. Remember, however, that there is our Students' Loan Bureau that provides support, and the Ministry of Education does provide some limited support to those students who are experiencing financial challenges. And I'm sure our minister would also say members of Parliament also provide support where it is possible for them to do so.
Is there any support that may come from the CDA? I'm certain people, no, I'm just saying people come to you for help. Are you able to give any?
Sometimes, but it's not often. Where I remember one particular case where a girl needed to pay for her CXC exam. She was doing about 9 subjects, and she was at her wit's end. She could not find it. Grandmother could not find the money to pay, and she approached us. She was also threatening suicide, and we intervened and paid for the exams for her. We did it.
Congratulations. The Child Development Agency on the ball. Who has the next question? Okay.
I'm Emmanuel Maxwell from Morrinsby High, and my question is to Mrs. McLean again. It's a frequently asked question, but I'd like to hear something different this time.
Wow.
Why are students not allowed to take cell phones to school?
Very good question, I will say. The ministry developed a safety and security policy in 2009, which speaks to a zero-tolerance approach towards cell phones. And so that is a policy that currently exists. A lot has changed since 2009, 4 years ago. And so the policy is currently being reviewed. Again, once we have done our research and the policy is reviewed, then you will be advised accordingly. We are aware of the challenges as it relates to having your mobile phones, and hence we have a responsibility to protect you as well. And so our schools have instituted various policies where the phones can actually be protected, be kept until the end of the day, so that those who need to call their parents and so on will be able to do so. So we do allow schools the permission to set up a system where they can actually ensure that they are catering to the students' individual needs.
Very important to move in
Yes.
allowing that.
Yes.
I think I have somebody dying to ask a question somewhere over here. She has the mic already.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Barbara Lee Grant. I'm from the Heidel Group of Schools. My question is posed to the Child Development Agency. And the question is, many children are stressed due to peer pressure, family problems, and social problems. What can you do to help?
Well, we have been doing a lot. There have been instances where children and their families have been referred to the Child Development Agency. And we have in 2 regions what is called the Children and Family Support Units. And those units, or the persons in the unit, social workers, counselors, once a family comes, the social worker counselor counsels not only with the child, but with the child and his or her family. And then a course of action is taken. So is it that the parent needs extra help with parenting skills? Is it that something is happening in the home that both the child and the parent needs assistance? Or there might be instances where the presenting problem, which is the stress and so on, is not really the real problem, but the problem might be financial or otherwise. In those cases, we refer to other social service organizations.
I think we have time, thank you, ma'am, for one more question. Who will ask that? Aha, a young lady.
Good afternoon. My name is Abigail Christie from St. Jude's Preparatory School, and my question is directed to the Minister of National Security and the Child Development Agency. Does the government have any plans in place to prevent child abuse?
Minister?
I think that's
Your
primarily
guess,
there,
yes.
but maybe I would just say
And we have short answers now.
From the perspective of the Ministry of National Security, we have 2 interventions, so to speak, in this area. One, we have a major social intervention program called the Citizen Security and Justice Program, which works in 50 communities across the island where children and adults are seen at most at risk for violence or abuse. And we have a number of social interventions, social workers, a number of educational projects. We even assist with scholarships for young people in that area. But on the deterrent side, that's on the prevention side. On the deterrent side, we have various specialized units within the police force that are trained to deal with situations of child abuse which rise to the level of criminal behavior. If it is something that is so extreme that it goes beyond what the normal counseling and social workers could deal with, then the police will come in, and we have officers who are specifically trained to not only deal with the perpetrators, but to deal with the victims in a very sensitive way.
There's an entity called CISOCA. We can talk more about that afterwards. You have got to address this.
Very quickly. There are a number of issues, avenues that are taken. The CDA has a responsibility for advocacy. And so one of the things that we do is we go out and we do parenting sessions, informing persons of what is abuse, how do you identify abuse, how to prevent abuse. Recently, last year, we had a number of town hall meetings where we went into communities where we had persons who came to the community centers and they were informed as to what abuse is. What do you do when you identify abuse? So looking at the macro level now, how many of you know of the Office of the Children's Registry? Anybody knows? Okay, so the Office of the Children's Registry also does the education regarding child abuse, and they also accept the reports of child abuse, which are then forwarded to the CDA for investigation. And then there's also the Office of the Children's Advocate as well, and that office also goes out to inform and educate people as to what child abuse is and what to do if a child is being abused. Just to talk a little bit now about CISOCA, very quickly. 20 seconds. With CISOCA, the one in Kingston, we have a multi-agency project going on now, where 2 social workers are at CISOCA in office. So when CISOCA in Kingston, so when a child comes, or a parent has a child and his or her parent come to report abuse, then the social workers will deal with the social aspect of the child's life, while the police will deal with the criminal aspect. So that prevents re-traumatizing of the child, and also the child doesn't have to be interviewed by every agency, but everything is done at once, and that is being rolled out in all the other parishes.
Shall I tell you? I'm going to put this team on the spot at GIS. We've got to do this maybe once a quarter at least to bring the young people in to speak with their leaders. Would you want that? I believe so. So it's been really an interesting and engaging discussion, but we're out of time. I'd like to thank Minister Bunting, Mrs. Frances Eadie, and Mrs. Grace McLean, for the time that they have spent here. And I want to thank the students in our studio audience who made it such a good discussion. This is where we leave you on another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Send us your feedback now. And our email address, if you want to know, is very simple: jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jn. Or you may send us a tweet, we tweet too, @JIS News. On behalf of our production team here at the JIS, I'm Faye Ellington, reminding you to love your children and be your brother's keeper. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.